Hi, how's it going? I hope you're doing well and are being really lucky in your own fishing. I've had a bit of a slow week actually. Unfortunately I had a cold for most of the week, so that pretty much wrote off most of my fishing time, and I've only actually managed to nip out for a single session. Despite all of that, I've still been doing lots of prep, and we've got a bit of a transitionary episode for you coming up. I've got some prep that I've been doing for some other projects, so I'm quite excited to bring those to you. I've started a new pike campaign, which is my only session that I managed to get out for. I've also been preparing to do a bit of still water fishing. Unfortunately, the end of the rivers is very fast approaching, and I've got a little bit of prep for the upcoming trout season as well. So we've got all of that coming up in this vlog, which is vlog number 5. The first thing to happen fishing wise this week was I had a little package through the door, and this is something I've been waiting for to prepare for the trout season for this year. We're going to up our game a little bit. Last season was absolutely brilliant, and I'm still very much editing a video that's going to be quite a big one together, covering the whole of the trout season, so it's months of footage, so it is taking me a while to get through. But nonetheless, we had a package that was actually the mesh for a net, and you might be like, Ewan, why are you just ordering the mesh? So what I was actually using was just various nets and odds and ends that I have, but for the new trout season I'm actually going to build my own wooden frame, and obviously we need a mesh to suspend in there. So we'll up our game a little bit for the new trout season. Aside from that, I'm just sorting out all my flies and my kit that was left in a little bit of disarray when I finished back in October it was. I just threw everything in drawers, and I've not really looked at them since. So I'm just reorganising them and getting everything really prepared and ready. I'm very excited for the trout season and to do more fly fishing. Between the rivers closing and the trout season kicking off, there's a few weeks gap where you basically can't fish on the rivers at all. And so I've dedicated this time sort of in my calendar to get out and do a lot of still water fishing. And we're going to be targeting eels specifically. Now, I've mentioned this in a few vlogs already, but I'm actually coming along quite a bit. I'm doing a lot of research into the different rigs and tactics, and I've started to tie up some twig rigs, which are really, really good, it seems, to stop deep hooking in eels. And I'm looking at various baits and all things like that. But I'd actually love to hear from you if you have any really great eel fishing tips, or even just little stories you want to share. I'd love to read them, so drop them down in the comment section below. As we're talking about the end of the river season as well, I've also started a new campaign going after some pike. Probably rather foolishly, given there's only a couple of weeks left of the river season, and it's probably easier actually if I run you through the backstory and then talk you through all of the prep I'm doing to hopefully get into some really nice pike. Today is the day that I'm finally starting a new pike campaign, and this actually goes back a couple of years. When I was doing some barbel fishing summer 2 years ago now, I was fishing away and I saw a moorhen swimming slightly weirdly on the surface. I thought it might be caught in something or injured slightly, so I got ready to scoop it up in my net and give it any help if I could. As it got closer, I actually realised it was being part held by an absolutely enormous pike, the biggest fish I have ever seen, easily a 20-pounder. Ever since then, I've meant to go back, I've meant to get all my pike gear out and have a crack at catching that fish. It was absolutely phenomenal. I've, to be honest, never seen anything quite like it ever again. But today, I'm getting my gear ready. I'm going to make sure it's really strong, and I'm going to get the big net out of the shed, and we're going to go and have a first crack at catching a monster. Well, I'm just sorting through all my kit, getting it really prepared, because what I like to do when I start a new campaign is just make up a bag, and that bag just stays almost like as a grab bag. When I start a campaign, I do fish waters quite intensively, so over a few week period, I might fish it a couple of times a week easily. So it's just making sure everything I need is going to be in that bag so I can just grab it and head out to the waters. So I've got a few different tackle bags and boxes I take when I go pike fishing. I've got a soft case which is full of all kinds of tools, so it's got pliers, it's got crimps, it's got trace material in there and everything I need to make up traces, including the hooks. So that is a really key one, so that is obviously going in. I've also got then a bigger tackle box there which has some pre-made traces just stored on foam rollers. It's got some spare floats, it's got weights, things like that in. I then take a couple of boxes of lures, so there's a bunch of made up lures in there which are ready to fish, but then also, which I wouldn't probably usually take, but I've also got some lures that I've been meaning to rig up as well, so they need like stingers adding to them and the bullet weights and stuff, so I can do that while I'm waiting for a bite. I've also got a pair of large bolt cutters there, side cutters, in case a deep hook a fish, which is very, very unlikely, and I've never done that. I also have a lot of camera equipment, which obviously most anglers are probably not going to be taking out with them. It does take up quite a lot of weight and a lot of room, but if you want to make videos, that's what you have to do. I also have my documents, so my rod license and my various memberships in there that I'll need. I've got a bunch of coats and jackets as well on the back of this chair, and I'll probably end up wearing a lot of them. I just need to grab some dead baits from the fridge, my net from the shed, and we are good to go. Well, I've already managed one session after the pike this week actually, before I got a cold, and it actually went okay. I had probably 3 or 4 little pike, only about a pound, that were interested in the lures I was throwing around, and then just on darkness, one of the dead bait rods went off, and I had a not bad 7-pounder on there. But I'm going to be returning to this river over the next couple of weeks until the end of the river season, and it's really a race against time for me to try and catch an absolutely monster fish. And that pretty much wraps up my week in fishing and everything that's been going on. Unfortunately, it's been a lot of prep and not very much bank time, but I hope to change that over the upcoming weeks. Drop me a comment down below, let me know how your fishing has been. I'm always really interested to hear what you've been catching and what you've been up to. Also, if you're interested, hit the subscribe button if you're not already. You can stay up to date with videos as they're released. As always, thanks ever so much for watching, and hope to catch up with you in a future episode. See you later.